There's a lot of federal money out there for businesses impacted by the coronavirus. So how do you get it, and who will it actually help? I chatted with small business owner and columnist Gene Marks recently to break down what business owners need to know. Take a look. All right, Gene, good morning. It's so great to see you virtually.
Eve, it's great to see you as well.
Thanks so much for being with us. I know you've been a busy guy these days. And give us the general overview, Gene. Which businesses are positioned well to survive these trying times, and which ones are struggling to keep their heads above water right now?
Well, you know, I've been writing a lot about this, Eve, and this is a little bit of Darwinism that we're seeing taking place. I mean, the businesses that really have been managing to survive these times are the ones that have been sort of well capitalized. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned from a lot of small business owners, smart ones over the years, is that things are never as good as they seem and things are never as bad as they seem. And the business owners I've met that have managed to store up cash and have, you know, credit availability, have some liquidity and some flexibility, they're the ones I see, you know, navigating their way through this and making it through. The ones that have been sort of like, you know, operating on very thin margins and don't have that kind of capital in the bank, they're the ones that are like struggling the most.
Yeah, and let's sort out the help that's out there, Gene, starting with the main thing, the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program. Give us the basics on what that entails. It's basically helping people stay employed, right?
It is. First of all, it's free money from the federal government to small businesses. And when I mean small businesses, I mean people with employees and also independent contractors or sole proprietors as well. So if you're running a small business, even if you're just an independent contractor or a freelancer working on your own, you should absolutely be applying to the Paycheck Protection Program. Now, you don't apply to the government, you have to apply through the banks. Unfortunately, a lot of the big banks weren't really responding so well, so I've been recommending to my clients to go to community banks, independent banks in the Lehigh Valley area, as well as trying some of the online lenders like Cabbage.com and OnDeckCapital.com. Those are like really, really good places to go and find the money. And here's the deal, Eve, right? You borrow the money, it's based on your payroll, and then you use it to keep your people employed. And then when the period is over, it's like an 8-week period, you can go back to your lender and say, hey, I spent this money on my payroll. I also spent this money on my rent and my utilities and my mortgage interest over the past 8 weeks or so. I'd like to be forgiven for that money. And depending on the formula that's applied there, you can be forgiven for the money that you spent during that 2-month period, which basically means the government paid for you to keep everybody employed. Okay. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does. Now, what if you have to lay people off because of the challenging times? Then what happens?
Yeah, so there are certainly some restrictions, okay? For you to get full forgiveness under this Paycheck Protection Program, you have to maintain both headcount and salary levels by June 30th, because that's when the program ends. Okay. If you're unable to do that, Eve, and you have to lay people off or you can't maintain the salary levels, you can still get some forgiveness. You don't lose it all, but the maximum is if you are able to maintain those headcounts and the salary levels all the way through June 30th.
Okay. And Gene, this program ran out of money once, right? It just got another boost. Is there enough money in there now, in your opinion? No. Okay.
No, I don't think there is enough money. And not only that, but even just the National Retail Association, the Restaurant Industry Associations are begging the government for an additional $260 billion just for restaurants alone, in addition to what's been asked, because restaurants, as you know, we all know, they've really been hard hit. And all the unemployment numbers that we're seeing out there is really restaurants, big and small, that have had to lay off their hourly workers. They need even more money, and we have to see if the government's going to provide it to them.
Yeah, and what do you think, Gene? I mean, obviously, you said it needs more money, but was it a good response by the government during these, you know, times that we've never experienced?
So I actually think that the response to the government was very good. I think that the government acted very quickly as soon as the pandemic broke out. I think the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, the Small Business Administration, they acted pretty quick to get this Paycheck Protection Program in place. Unfortunately, the implementation implementation of it has been sort of fraught with all sorts of headaches. And I know you and I have been hearing a lot about this. I mean, technical issues, guidelines that was kind of tough to understand, getting the information out. Some of the banks had all sorts of issues. Then there were problems with the banks actually loaning out the money. So, and then of course there's been some recent scandals of some larger companies, publicly held companies that were getting the money that were really designed for small businesses. So to answer your question, I think the government responded the right way, but the way it's being implemented has been very challenging. But then again, it was such a short period of time and a giant program. You have to expect that these kind of issues are going to happen.
And Gene, is it possible that some businesses, if they get this money or if they were financially sound in the first place, like you mentioned, is it possible some businesses could come out of this better than before with the help that's out there and if they play their cards right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I have a lot of clients that are operating businesses still. I have some that are still in business with employees coming in because they're essential businesses. I even have, I know I live in Philadelphia, and there are a lot of restaurants in the city that are using that money to just keep themselves afloat, so that hopefully when this thing gets behind them, they can emerge and hopefully be stronger than ever. I mean, the people that survive this, they're the ones that are going to benefit from this in the long run, Eve. And I think these funds are definitely beneficial to help them do that.
All right, Gene. Well, always great to talk to you. Thanks for all you're doing, and thanks for breaking it down for us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, GeneMarks.com for more information. We'll be right back. Stay with us.